Okay, we'll go for it. Thanks for joining, everyone. Really appreciate you taking the time to do so. Just before we get started, just a really quick call out to everyone, just to encourage you to just throughout chuck any questions that you've got into the chat or the Q&A, whichever one you prefer. Obviously, webinars are a really good opportunity to take advantage of the fact that it's live, so definitely use that. Obviously, if you're watching back on recording, you can't do that, but hopefully you can benefit from everyone else's questions. So small questions, big questions, questions that might seem silly, put them in the chat and we'll welcome those definitely. Anything that we need to take away that we can't answer in the session, obviously we'll come back to you on those. So don't worry, we get a report at the end of all the questions. So we will get to you separately if we need to. So really excited to be showing you the very first look at the new landing pages in CRM, the new landing pages feature. Really, really excited. Been quite a big feature that we wanted to show customers, and obviously we're welcoming you as an early adopter to this. So great to see so many people interested, and lots of people in marketing as well that are joining today, which is great to see. So thanks to everyone for registering. So just a very quick introduction. I'm Jessica Nash, the marketing manager for Prospect CRM. I've been with the business now for about 9 years, I think, which is a long time, it feels like. And also quick hello to Ellie. Ellie is joining me today. She's the digital marketing executive at Prospect. She's been with us actually for about 2 years now. So really great to have her join me today. And Ellie will be running you through the actual demo part of the session today. So I'm really excited to welcome Ellie today. Okay, so just to take you through kind of a quick agenda of what we're covering so you know what to expect. So we'll start by explaining what the early adopters program entails and what we'd expect from an early adopter for any feature, not just for the landing pages, but for any feature really. We'll then just take a look at some examples and some sort of use cases, I guess, for landing pages, just to give you a bit of inspiration as to where you could use them in your business and just some high level benefits of landing pages. Enquiry Web Forms, which is another bit of a feature in the CRM, they actually have a direct link to this new feature of landing pages. So we'll just kind of reiterate what those Enquiry Web Forms are, what that means. But for anyone that needs a refresher on that, we have lots of documentation on Enquiry Web Forms, and we've also got a dedicated webinar for that. So if you're kind of unsure on those, we've got resources to help. We'll then obviously go into the demo of the system, which Ellie's going to take today, and I'm really excited to show you the new landing pages, and then we'll wrap up the demo with just a bit of information about what feedback we're hoping to get from you, how we'll obtain that feedback from you, and then finally we'll just explain how we can get it as an early adopter, and then when it will actually be available for customers in the rollout. Okay, so first of all, what is the early adopters program? What does it entail? So obviously when we're developing any feature, not just landing pages, we have the feature development and the deployment, and this is the sort of process we go through. These are the stages of a release program. So we've just detailed them on screen. When we have like a smaller feature or maybe in a kind of a optional feature that's something you can choose to turn on if you like, or just something a little bit smaller, we don't necessarily go through all of these stages in chronological order. But for bigger features like this, we do go through every single stage in order from left to right. But yeah, smaller features we might just go straight to public preview or just straight to general availability if we think we can do that more quickly. So we start from the design. So when we develop any new feature in the CRM, we start by designing it. Our product team kind of look at the ideas portal, the feed portal as it's now known, look at what's been highly voted on. We also look at what would appeal to the customer base at large. We also conduct some sort of competitor analysis, obviously, to see what other CRM vendors are offering at the moment. And we also sometimes actually go to customers for further input and kind of understand their requirements. So that's the design stage. Then we kind of move to the MVP stage where we actually just write the code. So the product team write the code, and then that gets tested in-house. We also write some very basic documentation just to outline what the feature's about, and then we kind of have that all ready ahead of private preview. And I've just highlighted here for the benefit of the slide just where we're at. So we're in private preview now. So that's once that in-house testing has been completed, we then move it into this stage, and only a select number of customers see you guys registering onto this webinar. You're an early adopter to try the feature out for free. You provide that feedback to us, and then depending on the type of feedback we receive, we may make changes ahead of the public preview. So like critical updates that we think we can't roll this out without making those changes, or we'll log them as ideas for future enhancements to the feature. And then I guess in terms of what we're expecting of you, early adopters, we want you to validate software. We want you to have a little go with it, have a play, see what you think, read the training documentation, that basic documentation we put together, and give us that feedback, and we'll obtain that through surveys. So those will be coming your way. And also worth noting that at this stage that we're in, the feature is usually on a hidden URL, or it has to be switched on by a member of our team. So 9 times out of 10, you won't be able to actually get to it unless you've got that specific URL that we've given you, or we go and enable it for you, just slightly dependent on the feature. Then we'll go into public preview, which is when it would become available for all customers to try, and that's either free or kind of half price. And at that point, we're still seeking feedback and validation on the feature. And then general availability is now it's deemed acceptable for sort of mainstream use. So that's for existing customers, but also new customers. And it can remain free. So no additional charge. It may be included just on certain subscriptions. So sometimes we just say professional subscription or advanced subscription only, and not starter subscription, for example. It might only be available on certain customer success plans, or it may become chargeable in the future where appropriate. But obviously, that all kind of gets explained in the articles as well. And then ongoing enhancements. So we kind of always look to improve the feature post rollout and take any feedback through the feedback portal. So they're the kind of stages and where we're at, and obviously that early adopter stage is where we're at for the landing pages. So just quickly, why are we adding landing pages in the first place? So it's just worth sort of going through that, I guess. I mean, the amount of feedback we've had has been kind of the Enquiry Web Forms that we've got in the CRM are really great, that your website may be managed by a third party, or customers said they couldn't necessarily get the third party to update the website for every single campaign that they're running. So that tended to be quite a bit of feedback that we received. So it's partly that. The other kind of reason is when we look at the growth model, you might be familiar with this if you've been through a demo recently and just subscribed to Prospect, or you might have seen it in some of our blogs. But the growth model is something we present to customers where we say, to have a successful business, you need to be attracting enough business, and then also kind of getting that customer lifetime value. So repeat orders, order frequency, and order retention. And we've obviously added plenty of strong features in that flywheel. So you think about RFM analysis, cross-sell, upsell, magic matrix, the list kind of goes on. For the attract, sell, close, we've obviously added the Enquiry Web Forms, the inquiries, MailChimp, Klaviyo integration, but landing pages kind of adds to that funnel piece, and it really helps you generate more new business or interest. So they're the kind of reasons why we prioritize this feature in. Just moving on now to some examples of when you might consider creating a landing page. So just some examples to get you thinking. Obviously, there are loads of examples. These are just a few. Pay-per-click campaigns, for example. So when you're creating a Google ad, the page you want to direct your visitors into probably shouldn't be onto your main website, where there tends to be lots of distractions from the main call to action that you want them to go down. The navigation you probably want to remove. And kind of omit that from the design, but that tends to be quite difficult to do on your own website. So landing pages are a great way to kind of bridge that gap, because you can make it kind of look like website in the brand and the design, have fewer distractions on screen, and then obviously funneling them in to that main call to action to drive those conversions. Email campaigns would be another good example. So if you're emailing out to your prospects about a special offer, for example, and you'd kind of want them going to a page that's just about that offer, and not really to the rest of your website. You just want them to go to that offer and hear all about that offer. Any product launches, events, again, something where it's time sensitive, maybe where you just want a page up for a short amount of time, but you don't want to have to go and create a whole new page on your website. And then also things like newsletters, that'd be a great example, and downloadable content. So particularly if you want to have something gated, so you'd have a form in front of it. So put here like brochures, pricing, something like that, where you might want a form before they can actually get access to that bit of content or that asset. So they're just a few examples that just gets you thinking about some use cases in your business. And then some of the benefits, I mean, I've alluded to some of them on the previous slide, I guess, but some really obvious ones. Firstly, the fact that you don't need that developer input with these landing pages. That this software should be really intuitive and easy to use, and you don't really need much experience to be able to pick it up and do it. We want you to be able to chuck these together using some pre-made templates and drag and drop without that kind of web designer input. So that's the purpose of this. The flexibility and control over design, I guess, would be another real plus. Obviously, if your website's quite tricky to amend, landing page is obviously a great option to use. They're drag and drop, so you can kind of keep that design, also have that creative freedom. The fact that they can be turned on and off really easily, or even archived in line with your campaign. So if a campaign starts and ends on a certain date, then you can kind of have them live for that period of time only. And then the two key ones at the bottom there are the fact that you obviously can generate more new business with prospective customers, and also increase the average order value and average order frequency of your existing customer base by putting up these landing pages and then having your campaigns running through there. Okay, so I mentioned at the start of this that the Enquiry Web Form feature in the CRM has got a link to the landing pages. As I say, this is just a screenshot of one of the documents that we've got on Enquiry Web Forms, but the idea is that we'll send out the resources on Enquiry Web Forms, then you can use those on your landing pages, and it's actually really, really easy to put on an Enquiry Web Form onto your landing page. So as I say, was a bit of feedback that we had that deploying them can be tricky, and so landing pages can bridge that gap. So as I say, Enquiry Web Forms are a form that you'd have on your website, capturing the details of the visitor for whatever purpose. You could obviously have it just as a contact us form, or you could have any kind of form really, and then those would feed inquiries into the CRM. And obviously we can deploy these Enquiry Web Forms now on the landing pages, which is a real bonus. Just before we get into the demo and I pass over to Ellie because I've been talking too long, just a few things to bear in mind. So this is an early adopter program. So we have tested it in-house, like I said. We've ironed out some of the niggly bits that we wanted to do before we even showed it to any customers. But you will be the first set of customers to use it if you complete the survey at the end of this webinar. So just bear that in mind, that it is a feature that's in development, actively in development. We need your feedback. The initial kind of survey that we'll send out after this will be kind of you giving us your initial thoughts on it. So the survey won't be too long. It'll just be kind of what did you think to it when you saw it today? And then we'll let you have a go with it, and we'll probably send up another follow-up email with a survey just to get your thoughts once you've had a go at actually using it. And obviously this is just the first phase, so lots of enhancements to follow, but we think it is in a good place to show you it today. So without further ado, I guess, onto the demo. So I'm going to let Ellie take over for this part. Ellie, I think you're going to share your screen, aren't you, and take control. So I'll let you do that.
We will get started. So yes, as Jess said, I'm the digital marketing exec here at ProspectSoft. I create a lot of landing pages in-house. So I'll be taking you through the demo of the software today. So in this demo, we're just going to cover the basics of landing pages in Prospect CRM, setting up your own brand preference center, and that will hold all of your key brand assets to use while building landing pages. We'll also cover the key features of the software and ultimately how to build your own landing page, and use Enquiry Web Forms to collect customer data. So as Jess mentioned, there are lots of use cases for landing pages. So I thought that I'd just pull a few together just to give an example. So I've created a couple of newsletters for this fictitious coffee company. So this is just an example of what it will look like in action. So we've got a nice header here and a call to action. We've got a bit of context about the company, some benefits. Here is what the default version of the Enquiry web form will look like. Obviously, you can head over to Forms and you can edit the styling to make this, bring this within your branding. But this is what the default view would look like. Then we have a nice customer testimonial and a call to action with some links to socials at the bottom. And I do believe I have a second example here. And this is just a bit of a different version with a nice image in the background. Again, we've got the form capture here, some customer testimonials, and then some nice benefits here with this sort of image overlay effect that I really like. And then a nice footer, again, with a scrolly image at the bottom, which I'm also a big fan of. So those are just some examples of what a finished landing page might look like. Now we'll just head over to the actual CRM and go through how to start creating your own landing pages. So once you've opted into the early adopters and registered your interest, then either we'll have this enabled or, like Jess said, we'll get a special URL that will give you access to landing pages. So you'll just head over here underneath marketing. This will be blank for you guys, but you can just head straight up to this plus button in the top corner, and that's how we'll get started, and it'll bring us to the landing page marketplace. So I just want to mention first, as a sort of top tip, I would always collapse this left-hand CRM menu, because the actual software, the landing page software, is responsive. So some elements might look a bit different unless you collapse the menu. So I just recommend doing that. So now we're into the actual marketplace. You can see all of the pre-made templates that we've got here. So you can either start straight ahead with a template, you can start entirely from scratch, of course, or you can do a bit of a hybrid, a combo of both, and use some of the pre-made sections we have, but then customize other sections entirely from scratch. So we've got, like I said, the templates here, and they're all categorized really nicely down the side here for you. And once you start getting into actually using the software, all of your pages will be stored here. And that's where you'll get the option to clone pages or archive pages or edit pages. Just for the purpose of this webinar, I'm not going to start entirely from scratch from time basis, but I am going to start from scratch on this example that I just showed you guys. So you'll initially be taken to the brand preference center as soon as you start, or as soon as you get into the actual landing pages function. And so this is really important to spend some time getting this step right, because the software basically automatically inherit the settings that you configured here. And it will inherit that by default, like I said. So it will just save you a lot of time switching between building the interface and the brand settings if you get it right the first time. So I'll just take you through a few of these options. So you've got the landing page name here. That's the internal landing page name. So that's how it will appear for anybody looking through the CRM. Next, you've got your brand colors here. So you can just add via the options here or add a hex code. And then this here references the transparency. So you just go ahead and click save. And those will all pull through automatically into the landing page software for you. Next, we've got all of the typography options. So that's H1 all the way down to H4. And then we've got some lead and block code and normal text. So here you can adjust the font family, the font size, and the font weight. You can also import your own font if it's not here, but we have got quite a few options there. So hopefully it will be. And then at the bottom here, we've got two options. We've got buttons. So this is how you configure the default styling of the buttons that you drag onto your landing pages. And then also 3 different versions of how links can appear. If you want it just to appear, the sort of blend in with the text, then you can just set this to black. And you can also set a color for a hover over link and a visited link. So it's just that extra layer of customization. Here is where you go to add your brand logo. So we would always recommend using SVGs because that is just the best version for web design content. And then here you can also add your favicon link. So just for those that don't know, the favicon will appear here in the top left of the tab. Obviously, I've not set it for the examples, but you can just pull that from a file cache and you can add that here. Next, we've also got tracking. So that would be Google Analytics tracking, where you'd add all of your codes for that here, as well as Facebook. And then lastly, the social share settings. So the title of your landing page that will appear outwardly to customers and consumers will be set here. And then this is more of an internal one just for within the CRM. And then obviously your final landing page URL, a short description and an image can be added here. And that basically means anytime you're going to share the content or the landing page once it's finalized on social media like LinkedIn, then it will automatically pull through the information that you set here. So once you're done, you can go ahead and save preferences. And now we'll go and start this from scratch, just so we can see. So just want to mention the version history. So as soon as you make any change to the landing page, it will automatically save. But again, another best practice, I personally find that when I'm building these pages, that every time I finish a section, I like to save a snapshot and say section complete. So if you're not happy with the direction that the landing page ends up going in, that you can strip it back to a stage that you were happy with it and start building on it from there instead of just starting entirely from scratch. But also it does always save an initial page design. So that's just going to be a blank page for us if you do want to entirely start again. So I'm just going to restore that. And then we will move on to the options down on the left-hand side. So we have got sections, as I mentioned earlier. So these are the pre-made specific sections. Instead of the whole landing page, you can get specific sections that we've pre-built. So you've got call to actions and you've got features. And you can also bookmark a specific section that you really like, and that'll just make it easier to use going forward. Next, you have layouts. Obviously, this is not populated at the moment because we've only got this one section at the top, but once you start building out your landing page, then you'll have all of your sections available down here, which you can move by drag and drop. You can also change the name of each section, which I'd always recommend doing, because if you've got everything named section 1 through to 10, and you're anchoring to a specific section, it's super hard to know what number the section is. So I just like to name things so I know exactly what I'm pointing to. You can also clone specific sections if you're really liking them and want to reuse them, or you can add sections from here. And then lastly, on this side, we've got pages. So this is your index page. You do have an index and a thank you page by default. So these are two separate pages. So once you're finished editing the index page, you can just go ahead and edit your thank you page. Or if you want to keep it in the same style as your index, you can also clone this. You can clone, or you can bookmark specific pages, and you can adjust SEO options in the page settings. You don't have to have a thank you page if you don't want. You can delete that and just keep it as just the index page if that's what you prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and build this page as if I was doing it from scratch. It'll be a pretty whistle-stop tour, just for timing's sake. So hopefully I make sure to get everything covered. So I'm just going to choose my brand logo there. So now when I head to the elements bar up at the top, and these are where you go to get your container, your text, your image, video, logos, icons, and forms. I'm just going to pull the logo on. And it is drag and drop, like we said, so you just get that extra layer of sort of autonomy over how you want your page to look. And it's really easy to use. I much prefer the sort of grid drag and drop version as opposed to static landing pages. So I've just pulled the logo in there, and we're going to build this page from pre-made sections, again, just to save time. So I'm going to start with a nice header. So you can just add a section like that. And I'm going to make sure to name this section. Like I said, let's just good practice. Next, I think it'd be good to choose something with some benefits on. So sorry, I'm going to build this page as if it was a webinar landing page. Should have mentioned that at the start. So next we'll need a form to capture those details. And you could add, customer testimonials. You could add any of these sections, but I think we'll just end with a call to action and keep it nice and brief. So now you've got all of those sections built together. You can just preview it if you want to see how those work together as they are. And this is the preview page. But we'll just go ahead and start actually editing what this looks like. So I'm going to start with the image in the background. So all of your customization options are here on the right-hand side. So you can change the color if you want. Again, this is where the preset colors that you've done in your brand preferences over here will pull through. You can add new colors if you want, or clear a color. There is also a transparency dial, so you can decide how transparent you want a color to be. I'm going to go ahead and change the image here. So you can use URLs. You can also pick an image from our stock image library, but I'm going to use just some stock imagery that I've already got prepped. So always wait on the screen until it's like 100%. Otherwise, it won't pull through. But here, as you can see, we've got the nice image in the background. This blue dot you can change to change the position that you're pointing to. So I'm just going to move it slightly over here so it's not blocking too much of the text. And now we'll just adjust some of this text to be more relevant for a coffee company webinar. So the company is called Coffee and Beans. Let's say a nice little slogan here of brewing perfection. And now we'll just make sure that that's a subtitle and that this is a title. Yep, perfect. I think we'll just end it with Coffee Masterclass. And just to show you some of the extra customization options. So obviously you've got the font color here. I think we'll keep that as white for now. But you've also got a background color. So that doesn't just apply to sections, but it also applies to text as well. So you can add your own hex color or you can just add it like that. So I really like that effect. It sort of makes things stand out quite nicely. Next, we'll move on to the button. So let's just change the call to action text to register today. You can add subtext or helper text. So we'll put, for example, cancel anytime, just to show you guys what that looks like. And then you can pick an action for a button. So we've got a couple of options here. You can either link straight to a URL. You can anchor to a section, which is what we'll be doing. You can link to a page in this funnel. So that could be the thank you page or another page, or you can open in a pop-up. So this is another feature that we do provide. So you just go ahead and click create pop-up and it'll bring up a separate screen where you'll be able to edit your pop-up using all of these options here. But for today's sake, we are just going to anchor to a section. And since tell you what, it's not saved. So I'll go header started. Ooh. So now it's saved a snapshot. Hopefully it should pull that through. So if I get anchor to a section. Okay, it's because I've not named it. Form CTA. So this is why it's important to name your sections. So now when I go to the button, there we go. So now it's linking to the form CTA. Just quickly change the styling of this button. So again, all of the options, you just sort of scroll down. You've got the option to go hollow or full. You've got a shape option. So I'm just going to go for pill. And then you've got some shadows as well. Lastly, a nice little addition is the button icon. So I quite like this for a call to action button. You can change these icons with our icon library. We also have social media or social networking icons. So you can add those where you feel appropriate. But now that that section's pretty much complete, I'll just preview it, make sure I'm happy with how it's looking, head back over, and normally I just save a snapshot and say header complete. It's just good practice. Again, like I said, you can go back and strip down the landing page to where you want it to be. But we'll move on to the second section. So in a few days, you could be making coffee like a pro. And these are some image placeholders. So I'm just going to change and swap these out for something more coffee related. Again, you can choose from the library if you prefer. But for each of these images, you can add some alt text for SEO purposes. As you can see just underneath here, you can do an image action if you want it to link to a product page specifically. You can do that as well. You can also do a bit of a caption at the bottom as well. Let's see, we'll just go for a coffee. And then we'll adjust this last one. Okay, perfect. So we've already got 2 sections built. Next, we'll move on to the actual form. So you could just add your logo here. I'm going to remove it purely because the white background doesn't entirely fit. Then I'm going to adjust the background image because I'm not sure entirely how relevant mountains are to coffee, but coffee beans are definitely more relevant. So that's pulled through in the back there, and it's quite hard to see because it's quite dark. So just to make that a bit easier, we'll adjust the form color to white and adjust this to black, do a bit of a switch around. I'm just going to remove these prompts here at the side purely because I don't want to distract people from the actual form. And then I've got some placeholder text just prepped to add here to give context to what the company is about. You can add that up here. And then maybe again, a bit more of a slogan. Whatever you feel is the most relevant content to really drive those conversions through the form fills. And then a bit of context about what the actual form is and what you're signing up for. So then as we move down, so you can see this placeholder block, whether you're adding forms through the pre-made section templates or whether you're adding a form straight from the elements bar at the top, it will always appear in this sort of placeholder image until you select a form. So you want to head over to the right-hand side. This is where our Enquiry Web Forms come into play. So you always want to make sure that you have prepped and created your Enquiry Web Form first. And that means that when you come to actually select a form, that it should just be here to select as a drop-down. I know that this is for the newsletter one, but we're going to pretend like it's a webinar one for today. You will, in the actual build interface, get this loading circle, but once you go to preview and the actual live version will pull through the actual look. So again, we've gone for a default version of the Enquiry Web Form, but that styling can be totally changed. So now we've got the header, the benefits, the form, and we'll just finish off the CTA with a little bit more customization. Secure your place today. Register now is still relevant, so we'll keep that, but we'll go anchor to a section, form CTA, keep the style as black to be in line, pill, and again, we'll go for the button icon because I like it. And then there's just some social options here at the bottom. So if you don't really use Facebook, you can replace that with LinkedIn. And then you have got some customization options here. So we'll make the background black and the icon white, stick with this black and white theme I've gone for. And that is pretty much the webinar page built. There are a couple of extra things that I just want to call out. Again, you want to link anchor to section, form CTA, just change that to black. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have a sort of finalized version, you'll head to preview and see how that looks in the preview version. If you're happy with everything, how it looks there, then check the mobile view, because everything that's brought onto the desktop view is also brought onto the mobile view, but there might be display issues, like there are some gaps here. That's because of the way that the grid effect works, but there are options to change that. So just go back into it here. So basically we have this really cool option that saves a lot of time. You can obviously rearrange this view however you like, but as a little cheat, we've got an auto arrange section. So if you press this magic wand, it will just really nicely pull everything together. And then you can head straight over to continue. Obviously, my page has already been published, but it'll say publish your page here, and it'll be a big publish button. It'll give you one last preview. You can connect a custom domain here if you like, and that means that the URL will have your custom domain in it instead of the crmlandingpage.com. And then you can share it however you please. And I know that that was quite a whistle-stop tour, but I just wanted to briefly touch on all of the options there and the functions. Obviously, any questions, feel free to ask. And we do have lots of help documentation available on building your landing page. So
Awesome.
feel free to read that as well.
Thank you, Ellie. Yes, thank you. And that was a great demo. Thank you for showing that. And hopefully that's what everyone interested. I'm going to have my camera on just to
Yes, hopefully.
sure that everyone can see me. So let's go back into the slides and just wrap up. There's a few bits I want to go through before everyone jumps off. So please bear with us for a few more minutes. So if we go on to the next slide and to the next steps. So as I said, we're at the private preview launch now, and that's happening today. We will send out a follow-up email after this session, so that'll go into your inbox, check your junk as well, with a link to this recording of the session, but also the survey will be in there. So do complete that. That will tell us if you would like to go forward as an early adopter and give that active feedback. So do please complete a quick survey. Once we've received that feedback, we'll get the team to enable it in your workspace. So we'll get that done, and then we want you to use it, play around with it, and use those help documentation to just see what you think. So yeah, definitely give us some feedback as soon as you can. And then based on all of that and the future surveys, we'll roll out to public preview. Any showstoppers obviously will delay the rollout, but any kind of enhancement requests or nice to haves will be logged, and will be sort of pushed forward. So that's kind of a bit of a timeline on what to expect. As I say, as an early adopter, your feedback really helps us achieve three key things. It validates what we've built so far, it identifies anything we need to fix, and it influences further development on the landing pages feature, or this is for any early adopter program, obviously the same applies. So just to support you in your testing, we developed some basic documentation on the landing pages. So that's all in our help docs portal. Again, put that in the follow-up email, so you don't need to go and try and find it. But it is simply the question mark in the top right-hand corner of the CRM. You can click documentation, and then that takes you through to the help docs. And then you can literally just search the term landing pages and you'll find it. But we'll be adding more and more articles as time goes on as well. We've kind of got all the basics in there. As I say, we'll include the link to this in the email for easy access. And then I guess we're over to Q&A, and we have got some great questions coming in. Thank you for putting those in. I'll kind of get started on those early, and we can, between us, work them out. So first of all, we've got about the help docs around custom and domain. So that there is yes, there is a help doc on setting up your custom domain. So yes, there is advice on that, and it gives you the step by step on that. Importing your own font. So how is that done? I think you mentioned that, Ellie, actually. So I think that is done. Do you want to share your screen again, or
Yes,
do you
I'll
want to
just
do that?
pull
Yeah,
that back up one
and then I'll get the
second.
questions.
Lovely.
Perfect.
Yes. So it's just this tracking here. So in the head tag, you can just add your font. Again, that is detailed in the help docs as well. So you can just head over there and it gives you a step by step where to get the script and where to add it as well.
Awesome. While you've got your screen up, I'll just go through the others. So we've got can I use my own hex codes because we've got our own colours, so our own brand colours. I think again you might have
Yep.
just shown where that is, but if you can just show us again, that'd
So
be great.
again, that would be in the brand preference center in the settings in general at the top. So you can hit add color and then you add your hex code here and then just hit save.
Awesome. And then somebody on the so the title, where does the title show? So I think it was in the social share.
Yeah. So
Um,
two options for the title that we have. We have the internal version of it. So this is how you and any of your CRM users will view the page. And then we have an outward facing title, which is the social share settings. So this is the important one to fill out. And that was what will appear outwardly to users and customers.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And then we've got a little question on about saving, but then somebody said that you've answered it with the fact that it does automatic save, but you were also saying worth doing a
With the
snapshot as well,
snapshots
just
through
so
the
that
version history.
you
Yeah.
can just go back quite quickly if you need to. Expected timeline to get this feature. I mean, really, as I say, unless there's anything showstopper from the feedback that we get from this that prevents us from rolling it out, I can't see why we can't roll this out fairly imminently. I'll kind of check on the exact time scale, but I mean, it probably could be within the next few weeks, even just depending on the feedback that we receive in this stage. So as you can see, we're pretty happy with what we've got so far, but we're kind of welcoming any suggestions for improvements or any kind of fixes that we need to deploy. We'll do that before we roll out. Somebody's also asked about the being able to add multiple logos to the brand. So they've kind of got a logo that's more appropriate for lighter backgrounds and a logo that's more appropriate for darker backgrounds.
Yeah. So I think my suggestion for that would be because you can save multiple versions of your brand preferences, that I'd save a light version and a dark version, and then just switch between depending on which one you want to use.
Awesome. They're the only questions we've got so far. So I'm going to go back into the slides, Ellie. But obviously, if anyone's got any more, just throw them in. It's totally fine. So let me share my screen. The slides. Awesome. So thank you for those questions. Really, really good. And obviously, if you've got any throughout when you're using it and testing it, do just give us a shout and we'll happily answer those. So on to the next slide. Just a really reminder, I guess, about the upcoming webinars. We have just launched series 4 sessions, so a whole new set of topics for you to get your teeth into. So do go and have a look at all of those on the webinars page, which is on screen. But you can also get to it from the emails that you've already got, and also from the resources page of the website and other places. So if you don't remember that URL, don't worry. And I think that's all we've got in the question box. So I think we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Look out for that email in your inbox for the recording of the session and also the survey for the feedback. And then once you've completed that survey, you'll get the access to the landing pages. So thank you very much, Ellie, for that great demo.
I've turned my camera on
enjoyed it
for the last second now that it's ending. Yeah. Thank you all for joining. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Take care.